Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. JC here with another video on Action Taimanin. Today we're gonna check Oboro's renewal weapon, Skullface. But before we start, don't forget to leave a like, share and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. And also a shout out to Gary USC because he asked me a question about Skullface, and I noticed that on my video for Oboro I didn't talk too much about the weapon. Yes, I did analyze it, but I didn't did a thorough evaluation of what this can do. Just so that you know, Oboro has three weapons that you want to use. Let's see. We're gonna put the weapons here. We're gonna put Oboro. And yeah, the weapons that she wants to use are the critical weapon that is going to give you a huge critical damage increase. Very good for beginners and FTP players. Then you want to use the Kokawa style Moondragon. This is going to enhance her blue build, but most importantly, is going to increase the damage of skills by up to 44%. That's great. That's a big number. And then we have Skullface. Skullface is the third option that you want to use. And it says, when applying a debuff to enemies, immediately restores 2% of lost HP, penetration of all attack increases by 11%, and damage dealt to targets under mind control is increased by 20%. So this has good and bad things. So let's start with the bad. The damage increase is going to be flat, unlike the damage increase on her limited weapon. So that's a problem. But it is acceptable. It's not that big of a deal. The main appeal of this is the versatility. It gives you three different effects. And you get HP recovery, a thing which you didn't have previously. So it's pretty good. Just remember that. Now, you may think that getting HP recovery when debuffing the enemy is not as good. I thought that too. I said, well, it's better to get HP recovery when hitting a debuffed enemy. But it is not a problem because Oboro has a ton of ways to debuff the enemy. She inflicts mind control with 4 skills, and usually you're gonna have at least two ways to inflict mind control on your builds on any color. 3 if you go mix. So a thing that you may not be paying attention to is the fact that it says when applying a debuff to enemies. This is maybe a little bit inaccurate. It should say enemy rather than enemies, because the effect activates per enemy debuffed. So when you are using Hypnosis Seal, let's check that Hypnosis Seal. Usually you're going to be debuffing 3 enemies. Hypnosis Seal. Mind control up to 3 enemies. It can go up to 5, yes, but normally you're going to debuff 3 enemies, okay? So you're not getting 2% HP recovery. You're getting 6% HP recovery. So that's very useful. And Hypnosis Seal, which is the staple one that gives mind control, is limited on how many enemies can be put into the mind control state debuff. But this other Wicked Slasher, Shadow Strike, and Flash Step do not have that limitation. Whatever gets hit with these skills are going to be inflicted with the debuff. So that's great. You're gonna recover a ton of HP if there are multiple enemies in the stage. But it is not only limited to the debuffs on the skills. You can inflict debuffs in other ways. For example, supporters. An excellent supporter that you can use is New Year Hebiko, because New Year Hebiko is going to poison any debuffed enemies. And Oboro, as you saw, has means to debuff the enemy by herself. So you're going to constantly debuff the enemy, deal more damage. This is excellent for defensive builds and it also gives damage. The active is not nice though, but it helps with by activating the shadow mind control on Shadow Strike. So that's not it. There's still more. You can also use the set effect of the Magatamas. If I'm not mistaken, I'm gonna go here. I'm going to do, no, not on this one. I'm gonna do it on this one. So if we go here and I use the change attribute ticket, we can check the effects. So if I'm not mistaken, all the anti-traits are going to give a debuff. For example, this is anti-human defensive and this is the anti-human offensive. This puts speed reduction and this inflicts bleed. Then these are the anti-machines: anti-machine defensive, anti-machine offensive. This put a snare and this put a stun. This is the only exception because stun is not a debuff, let's call it a status effect. So that means that this is going to put a red icon on the enemy and this is not. So you want the wood one. And for demons we have fire and ice. Fire is the one that you want, the offensive one, because it inflicts burn. I don't know if it works with freezing, but freezing is a special status. It's just like a stun, but a little bit different. It's better. So it's going to increase your damage. So I have to test if it works with Oboro's weapon. I don't think I have enough ice elements to test it, but I'll see what I can do in the future. So I recommend that you use fire, wood, earth, and shade with Oboro. Those elements are going to be super useful. In my case, I'm going to inflict a snare. So I have 3 ways, well, more than 3 ways. I have 3 on the skill, then I have the supporter, and then I have the Magatama. So you're going to recover HP constantly. With this weapon, Oboro can become very strong and a healing machine, you know? She's amazing. Yeah, the merit is that you're going to limit the kind of builds that you are going to do. In fact, that's not a problem of the weapon, but about a problem with the buff. That now you always want to use at least 2 of these skills on her builds. Yes, you can go damage rather than mind control, but it is not optimal because of just how busted mind control is. So yeah. And now Vicious Slasher, there's basically no reason to use this if you were not to use any way of doing mind control. I mean, you can go do speed increase and damage increase and this damage increase, but you always want hypnosis seal. So yeah, we're gonna check build on VR. I'm gonna go to level 40, 41, you know, as usual. And important things to take into consideration. Remember, guys, that you may not be able to do this. Even though my Oboro is 75, I have 100 and, let me check, 100 and what? 116 damage reduction from all sources. So yeah, don't overestimate Oboro. My Oboro, that is level 75, because I do have the awakening skills. So if you want to do this, perhaps awaken her too. You're gonna need those stats. So what am I using here? I'm using Micah, and she is using this as a beat stick. It's not gonna use the green skill. So I have anti-machine Magatamas. Then I have whatever Magatamas, another beat stick, 5 out of 5 plus 13 both weapons. I'm gonna go red because I want to use Death from Above. Carpet bombing. Carpet bombing is a means of dealing with any incoming enemies, any mobs. It's pretty useful. And Ruthless Explosion is the main appeal of this build because that is going to debuff the defense of the enemies and that's great. So obviously, since I am inflicting debuffs, I'm gonna be using Susune, I'm gonna be using Holy Knight Kirara, and I'm gonna be using Yukina. Now that I mentioned Susune, let's say that you don't have New Year Heaviko. You can use other kind of supporters. Susune is an excellent choice because she's going to debuff all enemies, not every enemy in the screen, all enemies. So that's great because you're gonna get the restoration per each enemy debuff. So uh, any supporter that either inflicts debuffs with the passive constantly, like New Year Heaviko, or that inflicts debuffs to all enemies, it's amazing. Not all enemies within a range, not all enemies that get hit by the active, all enemies. Those are the better ones. So yeah, keep that in mind. Now let's continue with Emily. Emily is going to be using Sledge of Blessings. You know why? It's just to buff. My Emily is not max out. She's level 81, so she could be stronger. I'm using anti-machine Magatamas, whatever Magatamas. The other weapon. These are 5 out of 5, plus 13 and plus 14. And I'm going blue. Gravity Hold to get HP recovery, Homing Bullet to deal damage, and Healing Field to get HP recovery. So I'm using Felicia to get a lot of damage, but also I'm using her to get damage reduction. I'm using also Arabella and Uraru, and this is going to give me an absurd amount of damage with Emily. And that means that she's going to recover a lot with Gravity Hold. And lastly, I'm going to use Oboro, obviously. And Oboro is going to control the machines. She's going to be amazing. I'm using Tank Oboro. Obviously, I have the weapon 1 out of 5, non-enchanted. This is 5 out of 5, non-enchanted. I'm using the anti-machine Magatamas, but the important thing is that they give me the set effect to ensnare the enemies. That's going to be super useful, and it's going to allow me to heal more. I'm going to use Flash Step for mind control, Hypnosis Seal for mind control, and Shadow Strike for mind control. 3 ways to inflict mind control. I'm going to be using Heaviko to debuff the enemy with poison and to gain attack and damage reduction. You can also use other things. You can go full defensive and just use this, but I do prefer to use Heaviko because she constantly debuffs the enemies. There's few options to do something similar, or you can rely more on the active, like with Susune. Or let's see, do we have something that ensnares the enemy on green? I think not. But well, there's this that it freezes the enemy and gives you resistance. There's this that disarms the enemy. So there's options. There's options. I'm using Sakuya because Oboro is a demon and I want to go blue. So this is going to give me tankiness. This is going to make me able to resist some hits. And of course, I'm using Akina to get even more HP recovery. You don't have Akina, you can go with Arabella. You can go with Kirara. Kirara is good always. Let's see. You can also use Heaviko. Heaviko is a great option if you have her. So yeah, whatever you have that works against these enemies is fine, but I recommend that you go defensive. So yeah, because you want to abuse your HP recovery. So let's test this. This is step 41, as you saw. I'm not using any of these. So I'm going to be the taunter of the team, and I'm going to pilot Oboro because of 2 reasons. Because I don't need to worry about the other 2 because they are range characters, and I mean long range characters, not mid range or short range. They are long range attackers, and they they are not going to get near the enemy which is great. Come on, attack. Oh, there. Nice. So as you can see, I'm getting HP recovery just by attacking. Yes, nice. I cannot see anything at all, but it works, it works. Come on, come on. Get over here. Nice. So the other characters deal all the damage that I need. And I just beat the stage super easily, you see? It's amazing. Oboro just become a top tier unit for VR. Thanks to this insane debuff. And you can even do other kind of strategies. I'm gonna keep analyzing her. But this is kind of the best for machines, yes. To be the counter as Oboro and let the others deal the damage. Yeah. So that's it, guys. It was a pretty short video, but the idea is that we see that this weapon has more potential or is more useful than it seems at first. I know, I was like, no, I prefer to get HP whenever I hit that debuffed enemy. But with all the mechanics that we already have in the game, combining the skills, the supporter, and the Magatama set effect, you're gonna be restoring a ton of HP. So yeah, you just need to reduce your your damage taken with things like Sakuya, with things like Hebiko, which she alternates, but it's fine. So yeah, what do you think about the weapon? In my opinion, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's better than I initially thought it was. And I mean, using unidentified deviation X3, that's not a thing. I never liked this weapon, even though I have it. And the other one, the Momochi weapon, is good as a beginner, but then you don't use it anymore. So yeah, that's about it for today, and I'll be seeing you next time. And leave in the comment sections what you think about the weapon. So see you guys. Bye.